Hey, this is Cameron. Welcome back to the Busy Gardener channel. Today we are going to compare the cheapest pruners you can find on Amazon to these Felco 8s, one of the most expensive you can find, but really high quality. Let's get busy. Okay, so I've seen these different comparison videos where you like test the most expensive hammer to the cheapest hammer. And I thought, you know what? Hey, it's always helpful to have some other pair of pruners around, especially when you got to do your summer pruning like I'm about to do today. So what I wanted to do was put it through its paces. I was able to, with a gift, buy these beautiful Felco 8s that are kind of the industry standard. These are the really excellent. I know that they've got excellent steel. They're ergonomically shaped. And then you've got these $7 deals from Amazon. I think it was $6.99 with free shipping. And so some of the things that I'm going to be looking at as I evaluate this, I'm going to be using both of them for my summer pruning. I'm going to try to use both on each tree that I prune. One of the reasons you want to use a good set of pruners is because you want to make sure you're getting a very, very clean cut. So when you're using bypass pruners like this, when the blades pass by each other, that creates a very surgical cut, very clean, which is going to help the tree to heal well. It's going to prevent there from being little openings for the, jagged openings for pests to come in. And so that's what I'm going to be evaluating this. Another thing I've noticed with cheaper pruners that I'd used in the past are that sometimes the blades will separate, whereas this has pretty tight tolerances, very well made, this Felco. This kind of made in China Pruning Shears, it's called. That's the brand, Pruning Shears. I don't know how well those blades are going to stay next to each other when we're dealing with a little bit harder material. I don't know how long they're going to stay sharp. And so I'm really curious to try this out, put it through its paces. So I'm going to look at these and take a look at side by side what these look like before we get started on our pruning. So my Felco 8s are really excellent. You can see they've gotten a bit of use, but they've got a very firm little hold to keep them shut. Doesn't just slip like some of the Coronas and some that have a spring here, like a little latch. Those don't seem to work that well. I've used these pruners for like the last year or so on pretty much everything back here, and the blades are still very true, still very sharp. This is very ergonomically shaped, so when as you're making lots of pruning cuts, you want something that's going to fit your hand well. So as you can see here, my thumb fits in here really well. This cradles my pinky so it doesn't want to slip out. I could probably do to oil this a little bit, but really it's pretty excellent. I also like that the spring is this kind of enclosed spring so that it doesn't allow twigs and things to get in the way and impede what you're doing as easily. I'm not even certain what this does. This somehow I think locks it down when you take it apart for servicing or for sharpening. But what a well-made tool. I'm really grateful to have been able to buy this Felco. It's done a wonderful job. It's going to do a wonderful job this pruning season as well. Now let's take a look at the Made in China Pruning Shears. So as you can see, Made in China Pruning Shears. Now let me ask you what you think. What type of design do you think that these guys were going for when they made this pruning shear? Are you noticing any similarities between the two? Okay, one of the things that is maybe not immediately apparent when you're looking at this on camera, but is very obvious when I'm holding it, is that this is a lot lighter weight tool. And you can see here that I don't know if you can even tell that oh man, the fit, you can see the gap in between the blades here. I don't know how visible that is. In addition, this one already has some play. And while they have trying to replicate the spring here, it looks really just wonkier. The rest of it is just not as nice. This is a lot less precise. This is a lot thinner. Let's open this up. A little retention. Oh my goodness. It's almost got like a grindy feel, whereas the action on this is really smooth. This feels like it's grinding the blade all the way through the stroke on this thing. Yeah, that and that alone really gives a totally different impression of this tool here. The fact that this is right here, I wonder if how that's gonna hold up over time. I really wonder how long this is gonna last, this particular blade. Already it looks like it's pitted. I don't know if you can see that blade looks a bit pitted right now. See the edges of that? See, like right there. It's hard to, like right there, it's kind of pitted. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm actually gonna do every tree with this. We're gonna see how it holds up, but it feels very, very lightweight in my hand. It doesn't feel quality at all, whereas the Felco really, you can feel the quality. Another thing too, which is pretty important, has to do with how ergonomic it is. Felco feels way better. The shape fits your hand. It's made to be a pruner. This one, you know, it's got some of the detents in it, but it's just, well, for $7. I mean, this is like 8 times as cheap. Is this pruner 8 times better than this? We're gonna find out. See, what I'm finding with these is it really feels like the blades are going to separate from each other. It keeps feeling like it's going to do that now. It hasn't done that yet, but it's just not quite as affirmative a cut. Although it seems to be making pretty clear cuts. When I cut through that branch right there, I cut through a beefy one earlier and it was feeling a little suspicious. Spring action feels okay on this. The spring itself is probably a high point. All right, so what's my final verdict here with El Cheapo compared to these beautiful Felcos? So the Felcos, I think, were like $40 or $45, and these El Cheapos were $7 shipped. Does the average person need a $45 set of pruning shears? I don't know. Depends what you want. I suppose these cheapo ones do have a place for the person who has maybe a single tree and they're not wanting to make the investment into something like this. If you're wanting something that will allow you to go out and make some cuts very inexpensively. Now, I can't speak to the longevity of this pruner. I definitely can tell the quality of it is not there. And I don't know how long these blades will hold up, and after how many repeated cuts. So verdict is in. This feels much, much cheaper than the Felcos. Anybody, even without experience, would be able to tell that it's a much cheaper pruner. It doesn't feel the same, it doesn't weigh the same, it doesn't handle the same. And so it's really an inferior deal. But again, it's almost like some of these other DIY tools. Would a contractor be buying tools from Harbor Freight? Probably not, because they had just the volume of what they're needing to do. But the backyard guy or the DIY home guy might buy something from Harbor Freight just to get the job done on a small scale. So that's kind of how I view these. Felcos are way better, but this, if you buying this means that you're actually going to prune, go buy this. I'm going to put a link to both of these. You can check them out, check out the reviews and stuff too. Anyway, hope this has been helpful to you to see a couple of examples. Test it out in the field before you make a pruning shear purchase. The cheapest one versus the most expensive one on Amazon. If you enjoyed watching, take a minute to subscribe right now. Hit the notification bell too. Whether you've got 1 tree in your orchard or 500. Until next time, stay busy.